Well, I'm very honored to be able to present the award for the Firefighter of the Year. Back in the spring, we were doing a show with them, and it occurred to us that, we do this for the police every year. I think we've done that for 22 years, and why aren't we doing it for the firefighters? And so Casey said, okay, do it. So we're doing the Firefighter of the Year, first annual Firefighter of the Year, I think, this year, and very pleased for that. I want to introduce these guys. Ken Helms is the fire marshal. Ken, you can stand if you want. And Chief Joe Jackson, fire chief. And then our recipient this year is driver Harley Long.
Yes.
And so we're glad to have you guys here. We just want to come up here and we'll present this award. This says Kiwanis Club of Enid 2017 Firefighter of the Year Award presented to driver Harley Long, and we present that to you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
And then we have this. This is the master plaque, which will go at the police, not the police station. If you find this at the police station, let me know. At the fire station, and it will have room for several years of these to come. And so this is the first year right here. And so we present that to you, Chief Jackson. And
appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so now, Chief, if you would like to speak and tell us how you guys arrived at this decision, and you can sit down, Harley, and then we'll have you come speak.
Well, first off, I just want to let you know we picked a good one. I'm proud of our guys. This is picked by Harley's peers. Everybody on the Enid Fire Department, our personnel, had a chance to vote. We have some very good firefighters, but Harley's one of the cream of the crop. Again, I'm Joe Jackson, and we've introduced the rest. Harley's deputy chief is on vacation today, and I invited him to come because he could say some words about Harley too, because he works with him daily. But he's on vacation. I believe he forgot this date, so I'll get on to him about that and say he missed a good dinner. I want to thank the Kiwanis Club for recognizing the Fire Department of the Year. It's like I say, I feel it's a great honor, and I appreciate y'all taking the time and the effort to do it. Let's talk about Harley a little bit. Harley is a driver on the department. He's been there 9.5 years. He was hired on July 7th, 2008. He promoted to driver on July 1st, 2012. Like I said before, he was selected by his peers at the fire department. Every year we do annual performance evaluations, and I just want to give you an idea of what his supervisors over the years have thought about Harley and his performance. Here's some of the comments from the supervisors. Harley has initiative, and he's always the first to volunteer. Harley has a positive attitude and outlook on everything he does. He's the first to get started, and he's the last to finish. That doesn't mean he's slow. That means he works till it's done. He's proactive, he's a troubleshooter, he's a problem solver. He's respectful, and he exhibits a great work ethic. He's pretty good at offering new ideas and insights on problems. He's a fixer. He readily assists station and equipment maintenance issues, utilizing his mechanical and technical knowledge. He's real good around the station. He doesn't hesitate on finding a better way or fixing something that needs to be fixed. He's safety conscious. He's a team builder and a team player. He works well within a team, and he's the leader of the team. He complies the EFD rules and regs, and his words show integrity and ethics. He assists and supports his coworkers. And one of the greatest compliments I think anybody can have at the fire department is somebody to say he's a great example to others. When our new firefighters and new hires come on, Harley takes them under his wing, helps them along, teaches them everything he knows. And that's pretty well it. He's a good hand. I congratulate you, Harley. And again, I thank the Kiwanis Club for this honor and taking care of Harley. Appreciate it.
They just told me this morning that I was going to be talking to you guys, so I had no time to prepare. I'm Harley Long.
We're a pretty intimidating group.
I'm born and raised in Enid. I got the greatest job in the world. I love my job. I like taking care of my neighbors. I know a lot of people in Enid because I was born and raised here. My parents were born and raised here. We've always been in Enid. Like I say, I really appreciate you guys honoring me like this. It was very humbling to find out that I had won this award, just that my peers had voted me into this position. And then for you guys to also honor me like this, I really appreciate that. You guys have any questions? Any questions of what we do on a daily basis at the fire department, or just questions about the fire service in general, or you got
Give us a story that, out of your years of service that you appreciate about that.
Okay. Well, there's a real camaraderie at the fire department. I mean, all our other guys they're like family, they're brothers. And we've, you get close with the guys at the station. I mean, we're there for 24 hours whenever we're on shift. We work 24-hour shifts, and a lot of times, that's rough time. We're working hard, or we're doing jobs that other people don't want to do, is why they've called us, and that's why we're there to do it, because somebody else doesn't want to do it, and we're the number one call. When nobody else will do it, they'll call the fire department and they'll get it done. So, I mean, sometimes there's bad situations we're in, but we also build that camaraderie of, whenever we get back to the station and talk it out and, play some ping pong and work out together, and you get the real brotherhood. And I've had several guys that, when I got on, that really took me under their wing and, gave me their knowledge that they had gained through their time on. And we lost one of my good friends that was on, probably most of you guys probably know Sean Bean, that we lost recently. I was on shift with him from the time I started, and he was really my mentor whenever I first started. And it was tough losing him, but that's one of the best things that I think I got from this job, was the ability to actually meet him and be like a brother to him for those years that we worked together. And I just want to have that, I want to be able to impart my knowledge, but I want to have that level of, respect or friendship that I can impart to somebody else. Like I say, Whitsett, William Whitsett is my new firefighter. Demetrius is friends with him and plays basketball with him at the Y. But he's my new guy on the back end. It's just green, has no idea, what's going on. He's just starting to get the hang of it. I just hope he looks at me like I looked at, some of the other people that I've looked up to, as far as like Sean Bean, or just, Kenny Smith has been my deputy chief for quite a while, and he's imparted and taught me things from his years of service. I just hope that the new guys coming up can always look at me as someone they can be proud of and, strive to be better than, So our department will just continue to get better as the new generations come up and take it over.
What's the responsibility of the driver?
As the driver, I'm going to drive the apparatus that I'm stationed on, Engine 1, downtown C shift. I'll always have at least two other guys with me. I have my captain on Engine 1, and then at least one firefighter. We can have up to 3 firefighters in the back of the truck. So whenever we get a call at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 a.m., the tone goes off and we jump out of bed, I got to hear the address that we're heading to and get out to the truck, get the truck fired up, and be heading to the call. Now, on our way to the call, I've got to be listening to dispatch, find out, okay, how big is this house? Is this house on fire right now? Is it a fire alarm? Whenever I get there, I need to pump water out of this truck. As we pull up, my guys are jumping off to grab a hose. By the time they get that hose stretched out, I need to have my truck in pump gear, flowing up to 250 gallons a minute out of hose, so they can kick in the front door and go into either rescue or put a fire out on the house. So as a driver operator, there's a really hectic time at the very beginning until I can get my truck flowing and going. Then I'm, concentrating on shutting off utilities, getting ventilation up there to take the smoke out of the building. It's a pretty intense job, but it's, we're not going into the fire usually like my officer and firefighter are. So usually I'm outside busting my butt trying to make sure my guys are safe and have water and everything's taken care of. But that's what the driver operator position is.
Did you start out as a firefighter and then
I
moved
started
on?
in every position. Like if you start as a firefighter, you will serve as a firefighter for 2 years before you're eligible for promotion. I actually served as a firefighter for 4 years and then promoted to driver. So I was a firefighter for 4 years on the back end doing my duties as a firefighter, and then promoted to driver. And when you're first driver, you're a relief driver, so you'll be bouncing around in different trucks. You might be a firefighter one day as far as riding on the back end of the truck and not actually driving. Until you get your actual station, you could be driving different trucks all the time or not driving all the time. But pretty much every shift I go in now, unless I'm working for someone else, I'm driving engine one, which gets you a little more comfortable with, this is the truck I'm driving, this is my area I'm gonna be driving in, this is what I'm doing. So, I feel real comfortable pulling up to a house fire and pumping my truck and knowing what I need to do at that position. And that just, the more experience you get on a certain truck in an area, with your crew too, is another thing. I know, because my crew that I've been with a while, my officer, I know what he's expecting of me whenever we pull up out front. Depending on how much fire is coming out the door, I know what he's wanting me to do to make sure he can complete the task that he's there to do. So.
Yes, sir. What is the average response time that you have here for the food?
It's like 3 minutes.
Just under 4 minutes, I believe.
Just under 4 minutes. So from the time dispatch gets the call, anywhere in the city limits, we're gonna have somebody. And that's why we're stationed throughout town. We have our stations all over town. So depending on the area. Right, we have 5 stations. Central Station, right across from the police department, is where I'm stationed. And that's where all of our staff guys are, Monday through Friday. And we have extra trucks there. We have our aerial truck, ladder 1, rescue 1, engine 1, tanker, grass rig 1. We have a bunch of trucks there. All of our other substations are manned by 3 guys, a lieutenant, a firefighter, and a driver. And they have an engine and a brush pumper at the other 4 stations. So we have a big crew down here at downtown station. There's a 3-guy crew at all the other substations in town. That's how it's set up.
Do you have much trouble with trains?
We do, but our response areas will depend on where it's at in town. If there's a structure fire, we're sending 3 engines. So if there's depending on the response areas, a train track going through there will decide which truck would be the first call to that area. So if a train track's gonna block engine 2 from getting there, engine 2 might technically be closer, but engine 3 wouldn't have to worry about hitting a train track. So engine 3 would actually make the first response to that call. Now, if they were both responding at the same time and there's no train, engine 2 might beat them there. But there's a lot of train tracks around here, I'm sure there's a whole lot of train traffic. So we always have to be conscious of, what trucks can go underneath the underpass. My truck can get underneath, but there's a couple that can't. And we make sure we don't take that underneath the bridge. But, we got to know which underpasses we can get over, which bridges we can get over to try to avoid that train traffic. So, yes.
How young were you when you started feeling the drive?
When being able to drive, I started, I was 28 when I got on. So I was 32 before I started driving the fire trucks, actually. I wish I'd have started when I was 18. I wasted some time, actually. It's a great job.
Did you start feeling the drive to be a fireman much earlier?
Oh, I did actually. I had a good friend of mine that got on when I was younger, Jared Bird, and he was on the fire department here. He's actually in Houston now. He was here for about 5 years, I think, and he had made it to driver. And I think he moved with his wife or something. He's on the fire department in Houston, and he's done really well for himself down there. It's a lot busier department. He works really hard on the Houston Fire Department. But whenever he had got on, I was going to take the next test, and they made the change that you needed to have your EMT certification before you could test. So I wasn't eligible for that next test, and I went off and I went to college for a little bit, and I never got my EMT certification, so I wasn't able to test. The year I did test was the first year they dropped that requirement. Now, once we get on the fire department, everyone has 1 year to acquire your EMT certification. So any of our new guys that do get on, the fire department will put them through class if they don't already have their certification, but we have 12 months from our hire date to acquire our EMT certification. So pretty much all of our guys, we got a couple of our old guys that are grandfathered in, but almost all of our department now are EMT certified. So we're running medical calls, more than fires actually. We go to medical calls all the time, but we're all EMT certified. So whenever we get there, we can assist or prep the patient for the ambulance to arrive.
What's the most common thing, for fires that start fires in England? Most common fire calls,
Bad housekeeping. Bad housekeeping is probably the number one danger. If you can keep the house uncluttered and taken care of, then you see issues before it's actually a fire. There's some nice, just because somebody's house caught on fire doesn't mean they were a bad housekeeper. There's always circumstances that can cause something to catch on fire, but the majority of the houses that we'll go to, the bad housekeeping may have contributed to the fire, but can also contribute greatly to the danger that we'd be in once we get in there. Many of the houses that, it might be a path through this house with everything in there. That's a giant fire load, but that's also a lot of things that could entangle us when we're in all our gear and we can't see anything because it's smoked out. So that's a lot more danger to us, and that's probably what caused the issue that led to the fire in the first place. So it just depends. Now, I hear the stories from some of the older guys of, they just waited around for the fire all day. There was going to be a fire every shift. We don't have that anymore, which means Ken's been doing his job. That, everybody's a lot more fire conscious, fire safety conscious, smoke detectors, and just better housekeepers. But just in new technology, lots of things are more fire resistant now than they used to be. I think too. Just safety conscious. So.
Do you guys go on every medical call, or is the fire department the first responder to every medical call, or is there a?
Usually we are, because we're going to be closer than the ambulance. So usually we will beat the ambulance to the medical call. And is how that works. I don't go to a lot of medical calls because I'm at Station 1. Station 1 is a little bit different. Like I said, we have several trucks there. Our rescue truck will take the medical calls, but they'll take medical calls, in their area, but they'll take a car wreck anywhere in town. Rescue 1 will respond with the closest engine. Engine 1 will go to a fire anywhere in town, but we're not taking medicals in our area unless Rescue 1 is busy. So now we also do a lot of lift assists, which is becoming more and more common as America gets bigger and bigger. We got to help pick up more and more people, so that's another new thing of, as people progress, as things change, there's less fires, but there's more medical conditions because of, some of the unhealthy habits that we have, so it just kind of turns around. We stay busy, but it's not always structure fires like it used to be.
So how is it with your driving training?
It's intense, and it's kind of strange. Like, I've had people ask me if, well, can I just go out and drive a semi truck on my days off? I'm driving a giant truck through town every day. Our NFPA standards, National Fire Protection, is a step above CDL training. So they accept that we can drive a truck with air brakes and, you know, a heavy truck through town because we've been through our NFPA standard training before they'll let us drive it around town. But I'm only certified to drive a big truck whenever I'm on shift at the fire station. You know, and they run us through, we'd set up cones out at the expo center, out in the parking lot out there. They run you through some training courses there. They'd have us pump each individual truck that we use in town. Every truck's a little bit different. We've got, our 2 newest trucks are about the same, but they've just got a couple little differences. So you had to pump every truck, you know, we have 2 aerial trucks. Our engine 5 is actually another aerial, also out on Garland. So we have ladder 1 and then Quint out at 5, which is another ladder truck that they use as an engine also. So you had to make sure you knew how to run the aerial devices that we have, make sure we know how to get water where it needs to go, and make sure we're ready to do our job before they're gonna put us in that position.
How many things do people run over before they're really good at driving a big truck?
There's a few things that, I mean, you know, it's hard to turn one of those trucks around the corner until you really get the hang of it. It doesn't turn like a pickup, and it's not like a semi either. There's not a pivot, you know, in the truck. So it's a long truck, and every now and then I might still catch a curb just every now and then, but you know, only if, you know, there was something in the way and we had to. But it's you got to be careful when you're driving, and Joe doesn't like it when we hit things. So you'll get a call from Joe.
You would really be pretty impressed with our accidents, how limited they are. It's gotten better.
Yeah.
With some,
Well, Joe, do you drive big trucks? Are you capable
no,
of doing
I drive the smallest truck for this room.
Does Enid do a pretty good job of getting out of your way, or?
It depends on the call. I mean, you know, distracted drivers, you know, they're distracted, you know, whenever you're driving right in front of them. So they're real distracted whenever you're just coming up behind them with lights and siren on, you know. But I have a loud horn, you know, I have to use it pretty regular whenever we're actually responding through town. But some people just completely freak out whenever you're behind them in a fire truck. And, you know everybody knows what they're supposed to do, but some people just can't click it in their head whenever I'm right behind them with my horn on. So it's a little hectic whenever you're going, and like I said, you can't ever know for sure what that driver in front of you is going to do, you know. So I'm extra cautious when I'm driving because I don't want to go in Joe's office for hitting somebody. So I'm careful when I'm driving through town, but it's a big truck going through heavy traffic a lot of times. And, you know, whenever we have our upgrades on our streets and everything like that, makes it a little more hectic. And we've got our, you know, our Willow expansion, and I'm looking forward to the overpass on Van Buren expansion. That's going to be nice when it's done, but it's going to be a little hectic when they're working on it, you know. But it all works itself out, and as long as we're careful and don't hurt anybody.
Speaking of sirens, why hasn't the United States adopted the siren sound such as you've experienced in Europe? We have just a steady sound that comes out. It just seems like the oscillating sound would get people's attention.
Now, we can change the cadence on our siren. And usually, like in my truck, actually, my officer can change the cadence from a regular siren like you're going to hear to a... Because I'm on TV, I'm not going to try to make siren noises because I'm sure that would get replayed. So we're going to a quick chirping siren, you know, so we can change it, especially like as we're approaching a big intersection, Van Buren and ONK Garriott. You know, we might change the cadence just to extra alert everyone we're breaking this intersection. And if we're coming up to the intersection and the light's red, we're going to stop the truck anyway. We have an Opticom strobe light on the front of our truck that's supposed to trigger most of the lights in the truck route through town anyway. So usually the light signals are working with us by the time we get up to the intersection. You know, if they fail to work at that intersection, we're going to stop the truck and make sure one of the other fire trucks isn't coming from the other way that's, you know, screwing it up, or, you know, it's safety first when we're trying to get to the call. If we have an accident, on the way to whatever the emergency is, we've just delayed that response even more because we have to stop right there. As soon as we've had an accident, our truck has stopped. So now, if we were the closest truck, the next truck has to go out, get in their boots, and get in their truck and head to that emergency. So maybe we would have cut 10 seconds off of our response time by blowing through that stop sign, but if we wrecked our truck, we just added 2 minutes on to, that person that's in an emergency. So it's not worth the risk. But, okay. All right.
How many calls a day?
How many calls a day? It totally depends.
The number will be probably about 5,300 for the year. Is that close?
That's pretty close.
It's more than doubled the amount of calls probably in the last 10, 12 years.
Yeah, easily.
But most of them are medical related, help
Right.
lifts, structure fires. If you looked over the last 10-year history, they fluctuate somewhere between 65 and 85 a year, but they're pretty constant. We reached a level, I don't know what happened the day that we could have them every shift. When I first got on 30 years ago, it wasn't rare to have 3 structure fires in a day. And it
Yeah.
seemed like somebody flipped a switch one day. Because we'd never sleep. Well, this was before we ran on all the medicals. We'd never sleep all night. We were always out. And I can remember the first time I was stationed downtown, and I woke up at 7 a.m. and I said, we didn't go out last night. And then you ask other old timers, and they'll tell you the same. And it just seemed like we just leveled off where we run, 60 to 80 structure fires. We have other fires. We have dumpster fires, then we have grass fires and debris fires and car fires. But
Out of that 5,300 calls in a year, only about 400 of them are fires of some kind. And like you said, only about 80 of those are structure fires.
Right.
2/3 of the calls that we make are a medical emergency of some sort.
One last question.
Yeah.
Do you have to always take paved roads?
No.
So do you just go to the fastest route?
No.
I'm asking this because I live outside of city limits, and I'm thinking,
I say,
no,
we will
Garland
take.
Station's the closest to me.
We will take a dirt road. I know it will depend of now you might be on a dirt road and you can see the fire station there. There may be a lightweight bridge between you and that fire station. So they might have to circle
around
the mile section around to avoid that bridge. We have a map book in our truck, and especially out before we jump onto a dirt road, my officer's looking to make sure we don't have any lightweight bridges. My truck's 22 tons. So if there's any 22 ton or below bridges on that route, we're gonna have to change our route. Like I say, it's not worth it's not worth a $500,000 fire truck or taking out a bridge or killing somebody, to take the shortest route. But we'll take dirt. I've taken plenty of dirt roads, and it's a little hairy taking dirt roads with those big trucks too.
Yeah.
But they'll get down them. Yeah. All right. Everybody good? All right.
All right, well,
Thank you very much for the honor.
we've got one more thing here. This is the official solid gold Kiwanis train spike we want to present to you. We present those to all of our guests.
Awesome. Thank
You
you
guys
very
will have to be awarded the firefighter of the year if you want to get the.
not likely.
Well, with that, I'm going to give the honor to Mr. Kiwani today, Dane, for assisting today with our first of many Fireman of the Year awards that we'll start to present. I'm glad we finally got on board with that since we've been doing the Police Officer of the Year. So it's our fault for not recognizing the Fireman of the Year prior to this, but I want to shake your hand and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
And of your service to our community, as well as both of you and all your members of your organization. So with that, we will be doing this every year from now on, and look forward to that.